Clara Whitmore had lived in the small frontier town of Red Creek for most of her life, and everyone knew she had a sharp tongue. She never meant to hurt people, but sometimes her words ran ahead of her thinking. It was the kind of trait that made people laugh, but it also got her into trouble more than once. She was 22, lively, bold, and curious about everything in the world outside her town. Still, Red Creek was her home, and she moved through its dusty streets as if she owned them. On the day everything changed, the sun was bright and high, and people gathered outside the general store as they usually did. Women chatted while buying thread or flour, men discussed cattle prices, and children chased each other across the road. Clara stood with her two friends, Mary and Ellen, leaning against a wooden post. They were laughing about something silly, something harmless, until the conversation turned toward the Apache visitors who had ridden through town that morning. "I heard the Apache chief came back to trade again," Mary said, adjusting her bonnet as she spoke. "He did," Ellen said. "I saw him ride in with two warriors. They brought furs and woven blankets. The storekeeper bought everything quickly. He pays good money for their work." Clara raised her eyebrows. "Chief Taza, right?" she asked, pretending she didn't already know. She had seen him before, tall, calm, serious, and quiet. There was something dignified about him, something that made people instinctively step out of his way. She remembered his sharp eyes, not harsh but observant, like he noticed every detail without saying a word. Mary nodded. "Yes, that's his name. They say he's powerful among his people." Ellen giggled. "But he hardly speaks. I bet he's too serious about everything." Clara laughed too, perhaps too loudly. She didn't really know what came over her. Maybe she wanted to make her friends laugh. Maybe she wanted to sound bold and confident. Maybe she wanted to feel important. Whatever the reason, the words slipped out without warning. "I bet the Apache chief's no good in bed," she said with a careless laugh. Mary's smile froze. Ellen's eyes grew wide. The people nearest to them stopped talking. For a second, Clara didn't understand why everyone suddenly went quiet. She was still smiling, still expecting someone to laugh along with her. But the change in the air was too sharp, too sudden. Mary grabbed Clara's arm tightly. "Clara, don't turn around." Clara frowned, confused. "What's wrong with you two? It was just a joke." Ellen swallowed hard. "He's right behind you." Clara's heart dropped into her stomach. She felt her face turn cold. Slowly, with dread crawling up her spine, she turned around. There he stood, Chief Taza, tall, broad-shouldered and composed, holding a small leather pouch in his hand, the one Clara had dropped earlier without noticing. His expression was not angry. That almost made it worse. His eyes looked calm, steady, and hurt in a way that made Clara feel smaller than she had ever felt in her life. No one moved. No one breathed. The world felt painfully silent. Clara opened her mouth, but no words came out. She wanted to apologize, to explain, to say she had spoken without thinking, that she didn't mean what she said, but her throat felt tight. She had always been confident, fearless even, but now she felt completely exposed. Taza held out the pouch to her. "You drop this," he said quietly. His voice was deep but gentle, not angry, not sharp, just calm. Clara took the pouch with trembling hands. Thank you," she whispered, though her voice felt too small, too thin. Taza nodded once, turned, and walked away. His steps were steady, controlled, giving no sign that her words had touched him. But Clara knew they had. The stillness in his expression, the lack of anger, the quiet disappointment in his eyes. It cut deeper than anything else could have. People slowly returned to their hushed conversations, and Clara felt their eyes on her, some judgmental, some amused, some pitying. She heard a few whispers. She shouldn't have said that. Clara finally pushed the line too far. That chief is a good man. She insulted him for no reason. She wanted to run. She wanted to hide. but she stood frozen, staring at the dust on the ground while her friends tried to comfort her. "Clara, it's okay," Mary whispered. "No, it's not," Clara said, her voice trembling. "I embarrassed myself, and I insulted someone who didn't deserve it. You saw his face. He didn't even get angry. He just stood there." Ellen nodded slowly. "He's respected among his people. Even some folks here respect him. You hurt his pride." Clara's stomach twisted painfully. "I know. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. I was just trying to joke. Just being stupid." Mary touched her shoulder. "It was a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes." Clara shook her head. "Not like that." For the rest of the day, Clara couldn't focus on anything. She tried to help her mother with chores, but dropped plates and spilled water. She tried to read, but her eyes wandered to the same memory again and again, the moment she turned around and saw Taza behind her. The quiet disappointment, his steady eyes. At dinner, her father asked why she was silent. She just shook her head and pushed food around her plate. Later that evening, she sat on the porch, staring at the dim horizon reflecting the final light of the setting sun. Her mother stepped out quietly and sat beside her. "You've been troubled all day." Clara took a long breath. "I said something terrible." "About who?" Clara hesitated, then answered honestly. "The Apache chief." Her mother's face tightened with worry. "What did you say?" Clara repeated her words quietly, ashamed. Her mother didn't yell, but her expression grew serious. "Clara, you must learn that some words cannot be taken back. You must be careful, especially with people who carry responsibility. He is a respected leader among his people." "I know," Clara whispered. "I didn't think. I just wanted to make my friends laugh." Her mother placed a gentle hand on her arm. "Then tomorrow, you must think about how to fix it." Clara looked at her sharply. "Fix it? How?" "You hurt someone. You apologize. It's simple." Clara laughed bitterly. "Simple? He's an Apache chief. I can't just walk up to him, and what if he doesn't want to hear from me?" "Then at least you will know you tried. Sometimes trying is what matters." Clara looked back at the horizon and exhaled slowly. Her mother was right. She couldn't stay silent and pretend nothing happened. She had to face what she had done, even if it felt terrifying. That night, Clara lay awake for hours. She replayed the moment again and again, each time feeling the sting of shame stronger. She remembered how his eyes were steady, not angry. She remembered how he had spoken calmly. No yelling, no harshness, just quiet disappointment. And somehow that made her feel worse. She wished she could take the words back. She wished she had thought before speaking. She wished she had done anything other than what she did. But she knew wishing wouldn't change anything. The only way to move forward was to face him. By the time dawn arrived, Clara had made a decision. She would go to the Apache camp. She would apologize. She didn't know what would happen, but she couldn't live with the weight of what she had done. She needed to show him that she understood the seriousness of her mistake and that she respected him. With the morning light creeping across her bedroom floor, Clara sat up, took a deep breath, and whispered to herself, "I'm going to make it right." And even though she felt fear twisting in her chest, there was also a strange sense of clarity, one she had never felt before. Clara woke up before the sun had fully risen. The sky was still pale, and the air outside her window was cool and quiet. She got dressed slowly, her hands slightly shaking as she buttoned her dress. Today she had decided to do something most people in Red Creek would never dare to do. She was going to ride to the Apache camp to apologize to Chief Taza. Even thinking about it made her heart feel heavy, but there was also a small feeling inside her telling her that she was doing the right thing. Downstairs, her mother was already in the kitchen. The warm smell of biscuits and coffee filled the air. Her mother looked up from the stove and studied Clara's face carefully. "You didn't sleep much," she said softly. Clara shook her head. "I kept thinking about it." "You're still going, aren't you?" her mother asked. "Yes," Clara replied. "I have to." Her mother didn't try to stop her. Instead, she walked closer and placed a hand gently on her daughter's cheek. "Be respectful, be honest, and be calm, no matter how he responds." Clara nodded. "I will." Her father sat at the table reading yesterday's newspaper. When he heard their conversation, he looked up and frowned slightly. "You're riding out alone?" Clara straightened her shoulders. "I have to. I made a mistake." Her father sighed, but there was pride hidden in his tone. "Take the old brown horse. He's slower but steady." Clara whispered a thank you and quickly ate a small breakfast, though her appetite was almost gone. Her stomach felt tight with nerves. She said goodbye to her parents, stepped outside, and walked to the small stable behind their house. The brown horse lifted its head when she approached and snorted softly. Clara stroked its mane to calm herself as much as the horse. Once she secured the saddle and mounted, she took a deep breath and kicked off toward the open land. The ride to the Apache camp took almost an hour. The land stretched wide around her, golden grass, scattered rocks, distant mountains, and the endless sky watching over everything. Normally she enjoyed the ride, but today she barely noticed the beauty. Her mind kept replaying yesterday, especially the expression on Taza's face. She wished she could erase it, but she knew she couldn't. When the land began to rise and the trees grew taller, Clara slowed the horse. She was close now. She could see smoke rising from small fires ahead. Her heart beat faster and louder. She swallowed hard and forced herself to keep moving. As she approached the entrance of the Apache camp, two warriors stepped forward. They were young but strong, wearing leather vests and beads around their necks. Their faces were serious and their eyes studied her with caution. Clara felt a sudden rush of fear, but she kept her voice steady. "I am here to speak to your chief. I want to apologize to him." The two warriors exchanged looks. One stepped closer. "Why should our chief speak with you?" Clara lowered her eyes respectfully. "Because I hurt him with careless words. I came to make things right." For a long moment, the warriors didn't move. Then one of them nodded slowly. "Wait." He walked into the camp while the other warrior stayed near her horse, watching her in silence. Clara kept her hands on the reins, trying her best to remain calm. Her heart thumped against her chest, and she could feel sweat on her palms. She wondered what they were thinking of her. Maybe they believed she was foolish or disrespectful or simply unwelcome here. And maybe they were right. After what felt like a long time, the first warrior returned. "Our chief will see you." Clara felt her breath catch. She slid off the horse, smoothed her dress, and followed the warrior inside the camp. It was her first time walking through the Apache village. She noticed children playing with wooden toys, women grinding corn, and older men weaving baskets or repairing tools. They looked up at her with curiosity but not hostility. Still, she kept her eyes lowered to show respect. The warrior stopped near a large tent made of hide and wooden poles. "Wait here." Clara stood in front of the tent, trying to calm her nerves. Then the flap opened, and Chief Taza stepped out. He looked the same as yesterday, strong, calm, dignified, but now she saw something else too. He looked like a man carrying responsibilities far greater than she had ever understood. His dark eyes rested on her, neither warm nor cold, just observing. "Why are you here?" he asked quietly. Clara clasped her hands together and took a steadying breath. "I came to apologize for what I said yesterday. It was wrong. I spoke without thinking and I hurt you. I am very sorry." Taza remained still, his expression unreadable. Words can cause harm even when not meant. His voice was calm, almost gentle. Why did you say those things? Clara felt her cheeks burn with shame. I was trying to be funny. I was trying to make my friends laugh. I didn't think how my words could hurt someone. It was foolish and disrespectful, and I regret it with all my heart. Taza watched her, searching her face silently. Clara felt small under his gaze, but she didn't look away. She wanted him to see her sincerity. After a moment, Taza spoke again. You came alone? He asked. Yes, Clara said. That takes courage, he replied. Clara blinked, surprised. Courage? I felt terrified the whole way here. A person can feel fear and still walk forward, Taza said. That is courage. His voice was gentle now, not disappointed like yesterday. Clara felt a wave of relief, but she still didn't know if he forgave her. I don't expect anything from you, she whispered. I only wanted to apologize. I wanted you to know I understand how wrong I was. Taza nodded slowly. Your apology is heard. Clara felt her shoulders loosen a little. Does that mean you forgive me? Taza didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked toward the people in his camp. My people are judged often. Many times we hear cruel words. We carry the weight of others' assumptions. Clara listened carefully. You cannot change what you said, Taza continued. But you came here to make things right. That means something. Clara swallowed the tightness in her throat. Thank you. You may stay for a while, he said quietly. If you wish to learn, you are welcome. My people respect honesty, even after mistakes. Clara hadn't expected that. The invitation surprised her, but it also warmed her heart. I would like to learn, she said softly. Taza nodded once. Then follow me. He walked toward a group of women preparing food. Clara followed him, trying not to appear nervous. The women looked at her with mild curiosity, but Taza introduced her calmly. This is Clara, he said. She comes with respect. The women accepted her with quiet nods. One of them handed Clara a small wooden bowl and showed her how to grind corn with a stone. Clara tried her best, though she wasn't very good at it. The women laughed softly, and surprisingly, Clara found herself laughing with them. The atmosphere wasn't hostile. It was warm. It was human. From a few steps away, Taza watched. His expression was thoughtful, almost softened. Clara felt his eyes on her a few times, and each time she tried to work harder. After helping for a while, Clara stepped away to catch her breath. Taza walked over to her. You did well, he said. Clara laughed. I crushed more corn than I ground. Taza's lips curved slightly, almost a smile. Effort matters more than perfection. Clara looked at him carefully. Thank you for giving me a chance. I didn't think you would. You came to us with truth, Taza said. Truth opens doors. Clara felt something shift inside her. She had never met anyone who spoke with such calm strength. She realized she respected him more than she had expected. Far more. As the sun moved across the sky, Clara knew she had to leave soon, but she also knew this wouldn't be her last visit. Something had begun here, something she couldn't fully understand yet. She mounted her horse while Taza stood nearby. Will it be all right if I return? She asked quietly. You may return, he said. Respect brings respect. Clara nodded, feeling strangely lighter than she had in days. She rode away from the Apache camp with the wind brushing against her hair and a new sense of purpose forming inside her. She had come seeking forgiveness. She was leaving with something more, understanding, and she didn't know it yet. But this was only the beginning of a connection that would grow stronger with every meeting. Clara returned home from the Apache camp with a mind full of new thoughts. Everything she had experienced stayed with her. The quiet strength of the people, the warmth of the women who welcomed her, the calm way Chief Taza had spoken to her. For the rest of the day and into the night, She kept replaying the moments again and again, as if trying to understand what had changed inside her. She felt a strange mix of relief, curiosity, and something softer that she couldn't quite describe. The next morning, Red Creek buzzed with its usual activity, but Clara felt different from everyone around her. When she stepped into town to buy some sugar for her mother, she noticed people looking at her. Some nodded politely, some whispered behind their hands, and some stared openly with surprise. News traveled fast in small towns, and it didn't take long for people to learn that Clara Whitmore had visited the Apache camp alone. Ellen and Mary ran to her as soon as they spotted her. "Clara," Mary said breathlessly, "is it true? Did you actually go there?" Clara nodded calmly. "Yes, I went to apologize." Ellen's eyes widened. "And he didn't get angry at you?" "No," Clara said with a soft smile. "He didn't." Her friends exchanged looks that were a mix of awe and disbelief. "You must be the bravest girl in Red Creek," Ellen said quietly. Clara shook her head. "I wasn't brave. I was scared the whole time, but I met kind people. And he listened." Mary leaned in closer. "What is he like? Really like?" Clara hesitated. How could she describe the calm dignity she had seen in Taza? The responsibility he carried? The peace he radiated? She didn't know if anyone in town would understand. "He's respectful," Clara finally said, "and patient, and much more thoughtful than most people think." Her friends fell silent, sensing something in her tone that they had never heard before. Something deeper, something honest. Clara finished her errands quickly and returned home. But the next day her thoughts drifted again and again to the Apache camp. She wondered what the women were preparing today, if the children were playing in the same dusty spot, and if Taza was speaking to his people under the morning sun. She wondered if they even remembered her. By noon, Clara made up her mind. She saddled the brown horse once again and rode toward the foothills. This time she wasn't going to apologize. She was going because she felt drawn to return. She wanted to learn more. She wanted to see the people who had accepted her so warmly. She wanted to understand what she felt when she spoke to Taza. The path felt less frightening now, and the air felt strangely lighter. When she reached the camp, a few warriors glanced her way but didn't block her path like before. Instead, they nodded in acknowledgement, as if she were no longer a stranger. One of the women she had met earlier, a lady named Nyoka, waved at her. "Clara," she greeted warmly, surprising Clara with her soft voice. "You came back." "I hope that's all right," Clara said. "Of course," Nyoka replied. "Come, help us again." Clara smiled and joined the women. They taught her how to grind corn more smoothly, how to tie bundles of herbs, and how to arrange food for drying. She made mistakes, and everyone laughed gently, including her. She felt comfortable, more comfortable than she had expected. While they worked, Clara noticed Chief Taza standing a short distance away, speaking with two older men. She tried not to stare, but it was impossible not to notice his steady presence. He carried himself differently from anyone she knew, grounded, disciplined, and calm. At one moment, their eyes met across the camp. Clara quickly looked away, feeling her pulse quicken for reasons she didn't understand. Later, Taza approached her. She stood quickly, brushing her hands on her dress. "You returned," he said with a warm but quiet tone. "Yes," Clara replied. "Your people were very kind. I wanted to learn more." Taza nodded. "Learning brings understanding." Clara felt herself relax. "I hope I'm not disturbing anyone." "You bring no disturbance," Taza said. "My people see your respect." Clara smiled shyly. "Thank you." Taza gestured toward a shaded area beneath a tree. "Walk with me." Clara followed him, feeling both nervous and curious. They walked slowly, watching the camp from a distance. Taza spoke first. "When you came yesterday, you came with fear. Today you came with peace. Clara nodded. Yesterday everything felt uncertain, but after meeting everyone, I felt welcome. You were welcome, Taza said softly. My people are careful with strangers, but they sense your sincerity. Clara looked at him with quiet admiration. You're very patient, Chief Taza. Taza looked ahead, his expression thoughtful. A leader must be patient. If a leader walks with anger, the people walk with fear. If a leader walks with calm, the people walk with trust. Clara found herself studying him. His steady posture, his simple clothing decorated with beads, his thoughtful eyes that seemed to reflect worlds she didn't yet understand. She felt a quiet respect for him growing inside her, a respect she had never felt for anyone in town. They talked for a long while, about daily life, about traditions, about how his people hunted and traveled. Taza spoke slowly, but every word carried meaning. Clara listened with full attention. She realized she wasn't just learning about the Apache, she was learning about him. At one point, a small child ran toward them, laughing loudly. The boy tripped, and Taza caught him in one swift motion. The child giggled and clung to Taza's leg before running back to his game. Clara smiled softly, touched by the gentle way Taza handled the boy. You're good with children, she said. Taza shrugged lightly. Children remind us to be humble. Clara looked at him carefully. You're different from anyone I've ever met. Taza turned to her, his expression calm but curious. Different in a good way or a bad way? Clara felt her cheeks warm. In a very good way. Taza didn't smile, but something in his eyes softened, a quiet warmth that made Clara's heart flutter unexpectedly. She looked away, pretending to watch the children across the camp. As the afternoon went on, Clara spent more time with the women and later helped gather firewood with two of the younger girls. The entire time, she felt a strange sense of belonging she had never felt in town. The people didn't treat her like an outsider or a curiosity. They simply accepted her presence. When it was time to leave, Clara found Taza speaking with several warriors near the edge of the camp. She approached quietly. I should go now, she said. It's getting late. Taza nodded. The path is safe. Travel carefully. Clara hesitated, then spoke softly. Thank you for today. You are welcome here, he said. Return when you wish. Clara rode home with the wind brushing her face and her heart strangely light. She tried to understand what she felt, but the more she thought, the more confusing it became. She admired him. She respected him. She found herself wanting to see him again. Each thought made her heart beat faster. Over the next days, Clara visited the Apache camp again and again. Each time she grew more familiar with the people, more comfortable with their customs, more at ease in their presence. And each time she found herself speaking with Taza more than before. They talked about their cultures, their responsibilities, their views on life. Clara found his way of thinking refreshing. He found her honesty surprising. Slowly, quietly, a bond began to form. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was simple, genuine, steady. Town people began to whisper again, but Clara no longer cared. She felt drawn towards something that made her feel alive. One afternoon, while helping gather river stones with the Apache women, Clara slipped on a patch of wet mud. She would have fallen hard if Taza hadn't caught her from behind. For a moment, they froze. His hands held her arms gently but firmly. Her heart pounded so loudly she thought it echoed in the air. When she turned to face him, their eyes met. There was no anger, no confusion, only a warm depth that made Clara's breath catch. She quickly stepped back, cheeks red. "Thank you," she whispered. Taza nodded slowly. "You are safe." Clara didn't say anything else. She couldn't. Something inside her had shifted in that moment. something she had no words for yet. Days passed, and each day the feeling grew. Clara didn't realize it fully until one quiet evening when she sat on the porch of her home. The sky was painted gold, the air warm, and the world peaceful. She felt her heart drifting toward someone in the foothills, someone calm, wise, steady, someone she never expected to feel connected to. She whispered to herself, "I want to see him again." And she knew, deep in her heart, that this connection was only growing stronger. Clara woke the next morning with a feeling she couldn't ignore anymore. It was quiet, almost gentle but very clear. Every time she had returned from the Apache camp, she had felt lighter, stronger, and more herself. The people had welcomed her, taught her, smiled at her. But it wasn't only the people. There was one person in particular who had changed everything inside her without even trying. Chief Taza. She had never met a man like him. The way he spoke calmly, even when upset, the way he guided his people, the way he listened to her as though her words mattered. It was nothing like the loud men in town who bragged about things they didn't understand. Clara found herself thinking about him every time she woke and every night before she slept. At first, she had thought it was simply admiration or respect, but over the past days, something deeper had taken root, something she was almost afraid to name. She didn't know if he saw her the same way. She didn't expect anything, but she knew that something between them had changed after the moment he caught her by the river. The quiet softness in his eyes had felt like a spark that touched her heart. By noon, Clara couldn't sit still any longer. She saddled her horse again and rode toward the foothills. Her heart raced with every step of the horse's hooves. She didn't know what she would say or even why she felt so drawn to return, but she knew she had to be there. When she arrived at the camp, some of the children ran to greet her. One little boy waved excitedly, calling her name with a bright grin. Clara smiled widely. The warmth in their greeting settled the nerves in her chest. Nyoka, the woman who had helped her many times before, approached with a kind expression. "You came again," she said gently. Clara nodded. "If that's all right?" "It is more than all right," Nyoka said. "Come, we are preparing food for the evening." Clara helped the women for a while, but she couldn't keep her eyes from drifting toward the center of the camp. She didn't see Taza anywhere, and the emptiness she felt surprised her. She tried to focus on her tasks, but her heart was too restless. Finally, Nyoka smiled knowingly. "You are looking for someone." Clara froze. I'm just curious where the chief is." Nyoka chuckled softly. "He is by the river, speaking with the elders." Clara felt her cheeks warm. "Oh, I wasn't going to bother him." "You should go," Nyoka said gently. "Sometimes the heart knows where it wants to be." Clara wanted to deny it, but her heart thudded in her chest. She thanked Nyoka quietly and walked toward the river. Her footsteps were slow, careful. Birds chirped softly in the nearby bushes. The river's gentle flow filled the air with a calm rhythm. As she neared the water's edge, she saw Taza kneeling beside a large rock, washing his hands. He looked up the moment he sensed her presence. "You returned," he said softly. Clara felt her breath catch. She nodded. "Yes, I wanted to." Taza stood and wiped his hands on a cloth hanging from his belt. For a moment he simply studied her face, calm, steady, but with something warm hidden behind his eyes. "I am glad," he said. Clara's heart beat faster. "I've been thinking a lot," she admitted, "about your people, about everything you've taught me, and about you." Taza looked at her with a slight tilt of his head, as if inviting her to continue. Clara took a breath. "Ever since I apologized, I feel like my life has changed. I see things differently, I feel differently, and I think that's because of you." Taza remained quiet, listening the way he always did, with full attention. Clara felt safe in that silence. "I used to speak without thinking," she said. "I used to treat everything like a joke. But you taught me something without ever raising your voice. You taught me what respect truly means. You taught me how words can carry weight. And you've made me want to be a better person." A gentle breeze blew past them, carrying the scent of pine and water. Clara's eyes softened. "I don't know what you think of me. I don't even know if I should say this. But I feel close to you, more than I've ever felt close to anyone." Taza looked out toward the flowing river for a moment before returning his gaze to her. His expression was calm, but Clara felt a depth behind his eyes, a depth she couldn't fully read, yet it touched her heart. "You came into our camp with courage," he said quietly. "You returned with sincerity, and each time you came, you brought kindness. My people have seen it, and so have I." Clara swallowed softly. "I'm glad." Taza stepped closer, not too close, but enough that Clara felt the warmth of his presence. "There is something about you that is honest," he said. "Even when you are afraid, you speak truth. It is rare." Clara felt her breath shake. "And you make me feel steady, safe." They stood facing each other in a silence that felt full, not empty. Clara didn't dare move. The river continued to flow beside them, gentle and constant, like the calm that surrounded Taza. "You have changed," Taza said, "and the change is good." "You've changed me," Clara whispered. Taza's eyes softened even more. "Perhaps you have changed me too." The words made Clara's heart fill with warmth. She didn't know what else to say. She simply stood there, her feelings clear, even if unspoken. They returned to the camp together. Clara walked beside him, feeling strangely complete. Some of the women noticed and smiled. The children laughed and ran circles around them. Taza remained calm, but Clara felt a quiet connection between them now, a connection that had grown slowly, carefully, naturally. Throughout the afternoon, she worked with the women and sat with the children, occasionally glancing toward Taza, who seemed to do the same whenever he thought she wasn't looking. Their eyes met more than once, and every time it felt as if something warm passed between them. As the sky turned golden and the shadows grew longer, the camp gathered for their evening meal. Taza invited Clara to sit near him. She felt humbled and honored. They ate in peaceful silence, surrounded by soft voices and crackling firewood. After the meal, the people began singing traditional songs. Clara listened with her hands folded in her lap, feeling a strange mix of joy and comfort. Taza leaned toward her slightly. "These songs speak of journeys," he said. "Journeys of the heart, journeys of the spirit." Clara met his eyes. "I think I'm on a journey too." Taza nodded slowly. "You are. And you walk it with courage." The singing faded into quiet conversations until the fire burned low. It was time for Clara to return home. She stood reluctantly and brushed the dust from her dress. Taza walked her to her horse. The night sky was full of stars, bright and soft, spreading across the darkness like silver dust. Clara held the reins, but her eyes stayed on Taza. "Thank you for everything," she said gently. "For accepting me, for guiding me, for being patient with me." Taza looked at her with warmth that was gentle but deep. "You have shown your heart," he said, "and it is a good heart." Clara felt a shiver run through her, soft, emotional, and real. "I will come again," she whispered. "You will be welcome," Taza replied. Clara placed her foot in the stirrup, but before she mounted, she paused. Something inside her wanted to say more, something honest. "I respect you," she said softly, "more than anyone I've ever known." Taza looked at her, and though he didn't smile fully, his expression carried a quiet warmth that felt like a silent promise. "And I respect you," he answered, "more than you may understand." Clara's heart lifted. She mounted the horse and turned toward the path home. Taza watched her until she disappeared past the tall grasses. As she rode under the shining stars, Clara realized something with absolute clarity. The careless joke that started everything had led her into a connection she never expected, one built on truth, respect, and quiet, steady feeling. She whispered to herself, "I'm glad I went to apologize," because that apology had changed her life. Chief Taza had touched her heart not with grand gestures, but with sincerity and calm strength, and she knew, with deep certainty, that their bond would continue to grow, quietly and beautifully. And somewhere by the river, under the same starry sky, Taza stood alone, thinking of the young woman with courage in her voice and honesty in her eyes. The bond between them had just begun.